Awakening with Brahma Kumaris.
Welcome to Awakening with Brahma Kumaris. The last couple of sessions that we've had with Sister Jayanti have been one of profound impact in my personal life too. We started with the idea and understanding and belief that I am a soul separate from the body. And in my process of meditation, I began to understand different thoughts come and go in my mind. I need not worry about them, nor try to keep them aside. I simply change the focus of my direction of thinking. One important aspect about the idea of a soul is the conscience. The conscience is our real best friend, the one that's in with that soundless sound that is always around us, that we very cleverly learn to ignore. The more we realize I am a soul, the more we practice and go back to that goodness of our original self, our peaceful, loving self, the more clean our conscience become, and the more sharper our awakening within ourselves come about. But all in all, is this enough? There is only that much power that I can use with my own thinking to empower myself. There are days that I'm tired and I can't think any further goodness about me. Can I turn to another source? Is there a higher source, a divine creator, that can help me make this path of realization much easier? To clear these points with us today and to take us further into deeper understanding of meditation, we have once again with us Sister Jayanti, the European Director of the Brahma Kumaris. Sister Jayanti, welcome.
Hello and Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Sister Jayanti, it's been a very interesting path about realizing yourself as a soul and the security that you can go back and believe that you are that good and that loving and that compassionate and kind. But sometimes, how much can you talk to yourself in that way? Sometimes you need that little bit of help from somewhere, something. Is there something higher than yourself as a soul, higher than yourself as your higher self? What is it?
When I started meditation, I understood I'm a soul, and I didn't really know whether there is a being who is higher or not. But after coming to the experience of the inner being, the being of light, I was then introduced to the idea of the supreme being, the source, the highest being. And it made a lot of sense because I could see that all souls have differing qualities and each soul is individual and unique. And I began to think about how if you have something that moves in this way, then it's like there's some with less love, less pace, but you can go up the ladder and come to the point where you have more pace, more love. But there's also one that is at the very peak of that, the highest, the pinnacle. And to that being, to that soul, we give the name the Supreme Soul, the highest of all, the one in whom there's all these positive attributes to the infinite degree.
We've heard of superior souls. We've heard of super souls and super moms and super dads. But what is supreme?
You can think about human souls as reaching a higher stage. And yes, they can be super souls with a lot of love, a lot of compassion. We have the religious founders who have had a great amount of love and truth and so on and so on. And there's many, many of them. But when you say supreme, there's only one. When you say super, there can be many.
Many.
When you say superior, again, there can be many. But when you say supreme, that means just one. And so out of all souls, there is one who is the supreme. And if I could use the Hindi terminology for a minute here, when we say Atma, soul, then you can have Pap Atma, a sinful soul, Punya Atma, a charitable soul, Dharam Atma, a righteous soul following the path of Dharma. You can have Mahatma, Mahan Atma, a great soul, You can even have Devta, Dev Atma, the souls with that deity, divine qualities. But then all of these can be in the plural. Mahatmai, Devtai.
Yes, there are many of them.
But when you say Param Atma, the Supreme Soul, it's only one. There can only be one who is the Supreme. And so at the top, the highest, is the Supreme Being. A soul, so that point of light, the infinitesimal, again, no physical form, no length, no width, no breadth, no height, no weight, just a being of light.
I guess thrown in with many images throughout our youth and wherever we see temples, synagogue, churches, there are images. Today, the concept of ourselves as a soul, and yet the idea that the Supreme Soul is just like you, a soul. And yet he is supreme. So in one way I see that I'm equal to him as a soul, and yet I see that he is supreme. In what way?
There's a lovely expression that comes in the scriptures, and that is that God created us in his own image. And so, yes, in a way, we are the image. We exist as a reality, so I don't mean image in the form of illusion, but just as a parent is the creator of the child, and seeing the child's features, you can say, it's the father's nose, it's the mother's eyes, and so on and so on. In the same way, the Supreme Soul, the highest, supreme, I would say is the supreme in peace and love and truth and purity and power, the almighty authority. And we've been created with those same qualities. So in our original state, we also have peace and love and truth and joy and purity, but we lose these. And
we lose in percentage?
In degree, in percentage. So even during the space of a day, I begin the day feeling very big-hearted, a heart that's full of love. And I say, I have nothing but goodwill for everyone. And then as the day progresses, situations come in front of me. And by the afternoon, I say, yes, I do have love for everyone. But it's such a challenge to keep that love. And by the end of the day, I'm exhausted and I say, it's impossible. I really can't love that person. And so the love that I have, all human beings, we fluctuate in that. Not just the love, but the peace, the truth, and all our qualities. The Supreme is supreme because not only does he have all these qualities to the infinite degree, but also he never loses those qualities. And I'm using the word he because it's a very common phrase to use, but in fact, the soul doesn't have gender. The body has a gender, so God also, we can say she and he, not just he, because God is the mother and the father. So God is the one with all these attributes that never ever fluctuate. So it doesn't matter how many mistakes I make, but God, the being of love, always makes his love available to us. More, in fact, you could say God is the unconditional love of the mother, the one who's always, always forgiving the child, no matter how many times the child has made a mistake.
It makes logical sense now if I think of an analogy. When I look at a mango seed, the tree's got to be a mango tree. So when I look at myself and understand myself as a soul, I see you and you and you as a soul. I can then put two and two together that the father of the soul, too, must be a soul, except that he is infinite in his qualities and he is one like that. That aspect is very, very clear. When we lose, when you say the Supreme Father doesn't lose his degree, Oh, yes. And another thing that I like very much, what you pinpoint, was the he and the she of God. It also makes another logical sense, because if you look at yourself as a soul, yes, true, I'm in a woman's form, in a female form, but I have certain yin and yang quality about me. I have the male side, the dominant side, the more powerful side, and I have yet the feminine, softer side. So it makes sense that the Supreme Soul too could be a he or she. He could have male dominant qualities, provider, protector, and then the female side of the quality, the one that nurtures, love, and has compassion, completely forgiving.
Right. But also this very important factor that God is constant and stable and unending in those qualities. We'll be peaceful one moment and something will happen and our peace will gone. We'll become peaceless very quickly. But God, the one who's always, always, forever peaceful, which means that God can be the source from whom we draw. So when I become peaceless, if I turn and connect to the Supreme, I'm able to draw that peace within myself. It's like when you said earlier, I can do certain things on my own up to a certain extent, but there comes a moment when things become too much and I can't manage. And yes, there is one who can support me and guide me and help me and heal me and nurture me. And so all I have to do is to go inwards and then go upwards and connect with that being of light who is the source of all attributes. It's interesting that in all the different traditions and religions, the form of light has been remembered. Other images are particular to one religion or another religion, or some religions have no images at all. But the form of light is something which is sacred and is remembered and has been seen in visions across all traditions.
So if he is light and I am made in his image, I too am light.
Which is our experience in meditation. When I focus here on that inner being, what I can feel is this being of light that I am, weightless, non-physical, metaphysical. And so the Supreme also just light, but conscient light, not like the light of electricity, but a being that's energy, living energy, the truth, but the one who radiates luminosity, the one who's able to share that light.
I quite understand he needs to be constant, because we are the one inconstant, fluctuating, and he himself totally constant, the one I can rely on to pull in as much power as I want the moment I become powerless within me. So this is why he is supreme. His form is a form of light. He is my father. He is my mother. Not everyone. Yes, sorry.
You mentioned the word power, and sometimes that's misinterpreted in the sense that people think that God is able to make a dead person alive again. Or sometimes we have a very high expectation. Somebody is ill and we want God to intervene and help them become well.
So I should not use the word power, basically. If I use that word power, strength?
It's fine to use the word power, but it's just a different understanding and removing the expectation of the things that I've thought about in terms of power. So just as